Hi, it's Bear Gardner. I'm back with another new player video. I've been saying I'll do this one for a while, so we're getting round to it. So we're going to talk about an important thing for new players, which is growing your collection, cards, how to evaluate and gain a collection that's going to let you develop a more functional set of choices to build decks from. So I'm going to start with some very basic stuff, which is understanding how limited collection can be. So if we pop into collection, we can actually get an overview of our collection by going into the graphic. We can collapse this down. So this breaks down the different releases that you've had. So at this point, there have been, what are we on now? I want to say 8. Seven? Is it 7 expansions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 expansions plus the base set. So there are 8 sets of cards out there. At the moment, and generally, your choices when buying packs of cards are to either buy a pack of the latest expansion, which in this case is Winter War, or to buy a core pack. Core packs contain cards selected from everywhere. So they are very broad. As you can see, this is a new player account that I've been playing for a couple of weeks. If you follow along with the Twitch streams and the YouTube videos that get uploaded as videos on demand of those Twitch streams, you'll know that I've been playing this for a couple of weeks from completely fresh. So no money's been spent on this. I've had no help or assistance. It is just brand new account, limiting myself to about an hour of playtime a day at most, plus my streaming time, which is a couple of hours once a week. And this is where my collection's gotten to in that time. And you can see it's quite small. We have very low percentages of cards in each of the different sets, which obviously is limiting when it comes to deck building. So, cards. Hopping into the shop, the obvious place that you can get, I'm not going to talk about currency yet, we'll get to that in a minute, packs. So you can buy core or Winter War packs. You can buy single packs for 100 gold, or 330 gold for officer packs. Right. A normal pack, like a core pack, a standard pack, is 5 core cards guaranteeing at least 1 limited or better card for 100 gold. An officer pack, 7 core cards or 7 Winter War cards, depending on which pack you're buying, guaranteeing at least 2 limiteds, but it also guarantees a special or elite, and it can drop wild cards and gold cards. What are wild cards and gold cards? Wild cards are these. They are, if I can get this to open, they are cards that allow you to craft cards. You can use these to craft any card in the game by spending the appropriate wild cards. If you want to craft a limited card, you would spend a limited wild card to craft it. As you can see, I've picked up a few. I've spent most of mine as we've increased our decks and developed it. That's a different subject, but those wild cards are useful. The ones that are represented by what the spade symbol are generic wild cards. They can craft any card in the game. They're not nation restricted. The 5 after that are nation restricted. So you can only use a German elite wild card to craft a German elite. You can only use a British special wild card to craft a British special, so on and so forth. Clearly, if you're looking at allied nations, you can only craft those through wildcards. Also notably, allied nations have no elites, because an ally can never play elites. Something that some people don't realise, but it's true. So, value-wise, it is almost always going to be better value for you to buy officer packs. I know they are 3 times more expensive in gold and you have to save up for longer, but they are guaranteeing you access to special and elite cards, which you're probably going to need for the core of a lot of decks, and also you can get wild cards, and wild cards are better than random cards. Now, that's not to say you should never buy standard packs. You totally can do if you want to just expand your collection wide rather than concentrating on particular rarities. You probably could do, but it's usually my recommendation, if you're a newer player, to buy officer packs and probably buy core officer packs, because even though Winter War is more narrow, so you've got a higher chance of getting things, there are still a lot of very core, heavily used cards that you will want to get from the older sets. Your mileage may vary. Also, if you tune into some of the streaming community, myself and the various other streamers who are in the community, we have, those of us who are part of the contributor program, have access to giveaways. So we will sometimes give away packs. So you can enter a competition while we're on a stream and you might get a free pack and you can open it that way. Also well worth considering, and a good reason to engage with the community, because you might pick up some good information and get some free stuff. The other way to gain cards is the crate system. The crate system is a 7-day cycle that basically tracks how much you've played the game and how many packs you've opened. The more points you accrue doing this, the higher level of crate you can open. Standard crate, limited crate, special crate, and elite crate. Elite crate is by far the better of them, but elite crate is only reachable free to play if you have a lot of play time to put into your deck. Most of the time you're probably going to hit special if you get good play. So as I say, my restrictions about an hour a day plus 2 hours streaming a week, and in this last week I've managed to hit special crate, which we're going to open now. So when I open this crate, it'll show claim when I open my client. If I click on this, I will claim my special crate. If I have the battle pass, when I click claim, this will upgrade to elite. So if you have money and you want to put money into the game and you feel you can afford it and you're enjoying it enough to do so, and I can't emphasize that enough, never put money into a game that isn't worth it to you, for $10-ish, depending on where you are in the world, it's like, and what system you're on, because Apple cost increases, being an Apple person myself, are a thing too. You can get access to the battle pass. You buy it once a month. It's not a subscription, it's opt-in, so you pick each month whether you buy it or not. And each time you do that, you'll get some free vanity items, like things that you can put on your board and emotes that you can use in card packs. And when you open each of your crates that month, it will upgrade one stage. If you are going to put money into the game, it is by far the best way to do it, in my opinion, especially as a new player. So let's crack this open and we'll see what a crate looks like. So when I hit this, I have claimed my crate, and it will now show me that I've got a special wild card. I also get a limited wild card. Very good. And then we get a US special. It's a US Spitfire 9. It's okay. It's alright. It's not a super strong card, but it's random. These are random. We get a Soviet 35th Mountain. So this is a Winter War card. We get a US in Hour of Need. This is pretty good, actually. It's good. I'm quite happy with that with the decks that we're currently playing. And we get 250 gold. That's what I got for my special crate. As you can see, the base crate gives you 30 gold and a standard wild card if you haven't really managed to play much. The standard crate gives you 2 standard wild cards, 2 standard gold cards. Gold cards I'll show you when we go into the collection are just normal cards, but they have a gold kind of foiling. They're like foils in physical collectible card games. They look pretty. You get 80 gold. Limited, a limited, 2 standard wild cards, 2 gold limited cards, 150 gold. Then we get special, which is what we just opened. So we get 2 limited gold, 1 special gold, a limited wild card, and a special wild card. Amazing. Effectively, we're getting 2 specials and 3 limited cards and 250 gold. At elite, you're getting an elite, a special, technically 3 specials, because you do get 2 special golds and a limited. You're not getting any standards. That is a thing to be aware of if you need to craft standard cards. Those you're mostly going to get through opening packs. So when we do that, that's how the crate system works. Now, there's no perfect way to predict the crate system, but as I say, my testing and other people's testing shows that with reasonable playtime, you will get special crate most weeks, which is good to do. This is a good way to expand our collection. Now, let's talk a little bit about the meaning of the rarity of cards. So, in deck building, it's important not, in my opinion, in collecting to get overly distracted by elite cards. Elite cards are very powerful, but you can only ever have one of them in your deck. You can only have them from your main nation, so they are more limited. And generally speaking, they fall into one of two categories. Let's see if we can illustrate those categories by having up into our collection and searching. So we have big impact cards. I'm going to search for the Bismarck. No, not the Bismarck, the Bismarck. Come along, I can type, I promise. So I'm going to search for Bismarck. Okay. Apparently I can't spell. There we go. So Bismarck is a 10 cost card, so you need 10 credits to play it. You play it and it deals 7 damage directly to HQ. This is a perfect example of an impact elite. Its value is in the fact that it does something very powerful instantaneously. Often these will be cards that are finishers, ways to win games. If we we actually go to Japan Elite Fighters, we can talk about another card which is very, very powerful and popular. The Shiden, the M1KJ Shiden is a Japan finisher. It is a 5 cost card, but you're actually not going to play it until turn 11. Bear with me. Usually, anyway. It's a 4/4 aircraft. However, it has ambush, which means it can protect itself. Blitz, which means it can attack the turn you put it down. So at 5 and op cost 3, you're going to want at least 8 credits to get one shot out of it. You actually want 11 credits because it also has Fury, which means it can attack twice. So for 11 credits, you can drop and do 8 damage. This can finish games for a particularly Japan aggro decks. These are both examples of impact cards. While we're in Japan, let's go and talk about force enhancers or force amplifying cards. There are a number, actually. If we expand this to include Britain, Germany, the US, and Soviets, there's a list here of these little 0/4 cards. These are all, as a rule, very powerful cards. There is one for each nation, and they are all effectively force amplifiers in different ways. So, first signals, which I was just opening for Japan. When a friendly unit is destroyed, deal 1 damage to the enemy HQ. It's incredibly powerful. This card has 4 defense, 4 op cost, and smoke screen, and doesn't have any attack. You're just going to play it in your support line and leave it there. But the text effect is incredibly powerful. This is a good example of a force amplifying elite card. Similarly, 85th Pioneers. 85th Pioneers, same deal, smoke screen 0/4, 4 odds of you parking it and just leaving it on the board, reduces your orders by in cost by 1 credit to a minimum of 1. The minimum of 1 is important, you can't get 0 cost orders out of it, that would be very broken. It's incredibly powerful in an orders heavy deck. The Nashub. This is the German equivalent, the 158 Nashub. Gain 2 credits for the first enemy unit destroyed on your turn. So the first time you destroy something, you gain credit acceleration. Incredibly powerful. You're sensing a theme here. The 329th Engineer Battalion is the Soviet version. When another friendly unit is destroyed, increase your HQ defense by 2. Life gain on a stick, it's incredible. And the US version, arguably the least super impressive of these 5, 593rd Jasgo, and it's still very, very good. Reduce damage to your HQ by 1. Note, by 1, not to a minimum of 1. So it has got power, especially against low damage units. These are all force amplifying elite cards. and I consider that to be, click clear filters, a good example of the way to differentiate elite cards. But generally speaking, elite cards are either high impact or force amplifiers or big board clears, I suppose. Let's look at big orders so we can be thorough. I will be a thoroughbear. If we look at elite orders, strat bombing, good example, and depth of winter actually a better example. So depth of winter, 5 cost, remove all units from the battlefield, including yours, and replace them with light infantry, which are 1/1 0 op cost cards with nothing interesting going on. It's a board clear. Strategic bombing. Deal 3 damage to all targets in the enemy support line, and the enemy loses a credit slot. Again, really powerful for clearing down the enemy. These are also the kind of big impact plays that you will see from things. I've got Winter War highlighted for apparently no reason, but anyway, if we clear up our filters and do it, there are more. We would play around with the filters and go hunting, but you'll find the different versions of it. So that's elite cards. They're great, but they're not essential. They're just usually good for either amplifying or finishing your deck. Special cards, much more fundamental. They tend to be cards that are very archetype defining cards. So if we restrict ourselves to specials, I'm going to hop over to the US because so this filter's not great. Apparently we are. There we go. Activate the filter so we can actually see everything. You will see that if we hop over to US specials, you can get some things like Red Devils, which you will have heard me talk about in the US frontline deck. It's really powerful. It's fundamentally part of the archetype. It gets into the front line and sticks because it costs an extra credit to remove and has 3 health. Reading through the specials, you will generally get a good idea of what that nation can generally do. Another good example of a special card, if I can find it, is this. This is the 67th Baravanici. This card defines an archetype. So tokens, which is to say playing light infantry, there are lots of Soviet cards that develop and play light infantry, becomes much more powerful when you give them Alpine. Because when an Alpine unit is deployed, it gains +1/+1 for every Alpine unit you control, it counts itself. So if you have the Baravanici and play a token, you're playing you're playing an Alpine unit, you control 2 Alpine units, so the 1/1 becomes a 3/3. See where this goes. Then the next one is a 4/4, the next one is a 5/5, so on and so forth. It's exponential. So 67th Baravanici defines an archetype. Powerful Alpine buffed tokens. Another excellent example of the power of specials is the 20 Panzergrenadier. I've talked about this endlessly. This is one of the most powerful cards in the game right now, in my opinion. It is of incredible value. It is a 3/4 body with Blitz, so you can get it into the front line for 5 credits, which in and of itself isn't terrible. However, it adds a Panzer 35T and a combined arms to your hand, so if you play it on turn 8, you get this body in the front line, then you deploy a Panzer, buff it to a 4/4, and then you've got a 0 operation cost 4/4 tank, as well as a 1 operation cost infantry with 3/4 straight into the front line if you have access to it. This can be one of the most game-changing cards. Again, 7 Schutzen, if I can get to them, had them a moment ago. This is another good example. This unit has Blitz, it's similar. This is 4/5. It's more lasting and stronger because it doesn't develop cards. But when it attacks and destroys an enemy unit, it becomes a veteran, gains at a point of attack. However, it also deals 3 damage to the enemy HQ. Very powerful. Direct HQ damage can be very powerful in this game. This whole archetype's built around it. So that talks about where elite and special cards fold. The core to understand about this, though, the point that I'm making, is don't get overly distracted by the big shiny cards. You are a couple of specials, some limiteds, and good standards make up your fundamentally good strong decks. A great example of this is the Japan aggro deck that we've been building. One of the tools that I just talked about, I have not got... I have only one elite in this deck, and it is not the Signal Regiment, which you could argue is one of the strongest defining tools in this archetype. You can go check my video on the aggro archetype and building this deck. In fact, if you're a new player, I recommend you do. I've done this in Frontline. Both great decks to learn the game around. But the heart of this deck is things like the 24th Cavalry. This is just a standard card. But it is a 2-cost, 1-op cost, blitz, 3-1 unit. And that's great value for us because what we want to be doing is throwing it in and it replaces itself so it can thin itself. Another great example, where have we put 15th Cavalry is a limited card. I would argue this is probably one of the key cards to the existence of this archetype because it is a pure aggro card. It's 1 cost, it has no operation cost, it has blitz, it has only 1 health, but it does 2 damage. It is pure aggro. And it defines the archetype. The special version, 3rd Yokosuka, is basically identical except it starts 1 attack less, but gains +1 attack for each adjacent unit. Type 94 TK early, another special example of a very similar card. In this case it's a tank, so it can both deploy, move and attack in 1 turn, which is very powerful. When it damages the enemy HQ, notice when it damages the enemy HQ, not when it attacks it, gets +1 attack, so it scales. The Type 93, another limited card. Note, we're back to limiteds. Friendly units have +1 attack, massively important when you're aggro and you're just looking to deal damage. Expansion, absolutely crucial, because one thing that this deck archetype lacks is draw. And this is a great way of getting it, because if you control the front line, you can draw 2 cards. The Akita Regiment. This will hang around for a while until you have better cards to... I eventually replaced it with some specials, but it's really strong. Again, it is a blitz unit. When it's destroyed, it deals 2 damage to a random enemy. So my point being, I am using lots of limited cards, lots of standard cards, and some special cards. This deck is not massively dependent on elites. Similarly, if we look at our frontline deck, even more so, we are leveraging incredibly fundamentally powerful, and one of the reasons that frontline is a great deck to level with is it's even less limited dependent than aggro, because some of the key cards, Greyhound, this is just the value of this, you'll find out more and more, that 3 defense makes it so awkward to remove early on in the game. 164th Infantry, because it's buff when it goes and it's quick. Standard card, M4 Sherman. 4 cost, 4/4, 2 op cost. If you control the front line, if you have a US unit in the front line, draw 2 cards. Card draw. The value on this is amazing. For a while you'll also use 2nd California. This will fade out later, but early on this is also an incredibly powerful unit and also only a standard card. I don't want to belabor the point, because I'd like these videos to not be a million years long, but they have reasonable length so that I can get some depth in them. The point being, you're fundamentally going to build most of your decks are going to be made up, statistically. You have a 39 card deck. It's not 40 because your HQ counts. You have a 39 card deck. The majority of that is going to be limiteds and standards, unless you're doing something very special and have a very big collection. So, don't get overly distracted by needing to get to elites very quickly. Think carefully about where you do it. Husband your resources, spend them where you need to. Go check out the videos that have been done on beginner decks. They are worth doing because the 2 decks that I posit in my aggro and frontline beginner decks can be built without crafting a single card, without opening a single pack. You just need to get to level 11. Because I always like to remind people of this point, the first thing that you want to do in this game, level 12 rather, is get all of your nations to level 12, because each nation at level 12 unlocks a 2nd starter deck and thus increases your card pool. Do this first, mainly against the AI if I'm honest, unless you particularly want to lose a lot of gains. Gain the XP to do that, and you will profit from having access to more cards. And then just note the progression. Certainly the early levels of each nation, you can get wild cards, key points. At level 20 you get a special wild card for that nation, really good value. You can pick up some limiteds. You keep rolling forward, you can get some packs and things. The next really big point is when you get to a level 49 in a nation, you get an elite wild card for that nation. You also get another one at 99 and 149 and so on and so forth. These are great rewards for XP as well. So you get wild cards as you level up, and that's going to be your primary source of getting wild cards. So my advice is focus on playing the game because it will increase your crate. You can save up your gold to buy packs and open them to try and pop your crate up to elite, but I experimented opening, I think, 3, maybe 4 officer packs when I was on special crate on this account, just to see how close to elite it would get me. I think you're going to need 5 or 6 officer packs, and that's a lot of gold to save up early on in the game. So, unless you're very specifically wanting elite cards for a particular reason, or you can afford to have the battle pass, aim to get special crate, open packs to get more cards, grow your collection, and you'll be able to craft more interesting decks. I will be back with more new player content. In the meantime, please check out all the stuff that's going on. Also, if you happen to be around at 17:30 UK time on a Tuesday, I run a new player experience stream on Twitch, playing this account, and only this account, which is not my main account, and talking to people about different things. And I focus giveaways on that stream as well, so you can come get packs to expand your collection, and I'll answer questions, give advice if I can, and I have the advantage of a lot of people who I know in the game who are very, very good players come and hang out with me, and will also be very friendly in answering questions. It's a gold mine of really good advice on streams like this. We have a very tight-knit streamer community of good quality players who are very giving with advice, so come tap into that. Also, obviously, post up in the comments here if you've got questions. I'll try and answer those. I try and get to every comment as soon as I can. This is not my full-time job. If you want to make it more my full-time job, you can go and subscribe on Twitch. If you happen to have that money and want to give it to me, that's amazing, but I don't do this for the money. I'm not monetizing this as a primary thing. That's personal choice. I want to do this for the community because I like seeing communities like this grow. I'm going to be doing much more content. I also upload the video on demand for those who can't make the live stream. Usually the Wednesday or the Thursday after the new player stream, it will go up onto YouTube. I'm recording this on a Wednesday morning. Next job for me over lunchtime is to set the upload for YouTube with the stream from last night. So come along and check that out. Check out all of my other content on here. There's also links to some other great content creators. Drop in questions. Feel free to find me on any of the socials that you can say on here. My DMs are generally open, so you can come find me, ask me questions. I'm mostly friendly. And for the most part, I hope you enjoy. If you find value, please do the thing, the like, subscribe, notification bell, you know the drill. Drive the YouTube analytic because I want this platform to help me grow, and it's a harder platform to grow than Twitch. Not gonna lie, YouTube, I still don't fully understand the algorithm, so like, subscribe, hit the bell, and it'll grow. Tell all your friends. Meanwhile, enjoy the game, be good humans, and I will see you in the next video.